C.
Oh, yeah.
K. C.
C.
P.
K. E. C. P. K.
C.
Put some horns.
Yeah, because that's the newest. That's the newest merged railroad. It sounds good.
The newest merger. That will be an episode on mergers.
Speaking of, this is a predecessor of that. Okay.
There we go. I love it.
The So Railroad.
Oh my gosh, we are podcasting. What's going on? My name is Timmy D.
Engineer Evan.
And you are watching the Railroads Rock Show. Let's highball. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back. We're here. We're alive.
Yes.
Evan finally took off his fake beard. He just
Yes.
ripped the whole thing off.
It hurt.
I believe it, man.
It
I mean, I tried doing that with my real one, and even if it's half that amount of pain.
I haven't had a clean face in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was quickly reminded why I don't have a clean face, because the razor burn hurts.
Brings a new definition to hat backs.
Yes.
I got razor burn. Sure.
Yes.
Anyways, today we are going to do some virtual rail fanning, and what are we watching there, Evone?
We're going to do Feather River Canyon, but before we get started here, I have something to present Timmy, and I want his immediate reaction live and on air.
What are we presenting me? Is this like a gift? This ain't a gift. Oh,
Custom engraved Railroads Rock
and a bottle opener.
And a bottle opener.
Dude, look at that.
Yes.
Oh, my
Yes.
gosh. You guys can't see it. I got to do a close-up of this. Let's take a picture.
It's way cool.
Dude,
Yes.
It is way cool. That is so cool. To further my drinking, I could get back to drinking Pacificos.
Yes. They actually taste really good in this cup. The cup, if you just give it like a little, if you pre-ice it for about 3 minutes before you put your drink in there, keeps it nice and cold.
Nothing like a good stainless steel. I think what's going to make it taste even better is that it has our podcast logo on it. And it even says Timmy D and Engineer Evan.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
And you can also get these off the podcast.
Yes.
I hope. That's we're hoping for that stuff.
So my buddy,
that's so cool.
My buddy Javon with Javon's Engraving sent you and me both copies here. I have my own set myself.
That's so rad.
And he's excited to make more for our audience if they are interested in picking some up for our swag department. Apart from having shirts and stickers, now we have cups and bottle openers. Bigger things to come for the future here. It's very exciting.
Because we're coming into the fall, and one way or the other, we got to get hoodies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's what's up.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to kick through this. This is just going to be a quick virtual rail fan today. But before we get into it, we're going to do two. So this one we'll do Feather River, and then we'll talk about what's in front of us. What's in front of you, though, dude?
This is this 10-pack. Well, I got a little Santa Fe SD40-2 here, but you got your Santa Fe 10-pack, your 40-footers.
Yeah. Technically, just for era, it should be the Jeep 35 on the front. Should we switch that out right now?
Yeah.
Just so we feel better.
I know you love this locomotive, so.
I love how shitty that locomotive is, but it's a workhorse. It's a Cato, like, this I've had since...
It looks like hell, but it pulls like amazing.
Pulls great. And on top of that is, careful, the dynamic brake is going to come off.
Ooh. We need to dust it. Need dusting immediately. Yeah, locomotives get weathered in Timmy's garage.
Yeah, they do. Sawdust. Baby powder. Who knows? But I will say, this era of 10-packs, that is prototype specific for a Jeep 35, Jeep 30, Jeep 7U. If you're doing a very, very clean set of 10-packs, you may still have a CF7 in the mix. That's one I would really like to do as a Jeep. Is it Jeep 20s? You know, with that kind of slope nose?
Oh, yeah.
I like that late 80s Jeep 20, right before they retired them. And I think a few stayed on, or they got sold off right at the beginning of the 90s, right?
Jeep 20s?
They started cleaning house at the end of the 80s, early 90s.
There was still a few that floated in after the merger. Dude, one of these times we need to do a BNSF episode, like 96 to 2000, and like what was brought in post-merger. Because they were painting, like, I saw a picture of a BNSF Jeep 9 like coming out of Chicago, like repainted into the pumpkin.
Yeah.
With still the old school cowbell at the top, and I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? But you have to realize, like in the '90s, they were still. They're not like they are today, where we need to have new and shiny and everything has to be perfect. It's like, does it still work?
Does it work?
Yeah. Does it work well?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We'll bring it over.
That's a very Santa Fe thing, though.
Of course.
You know, we just need horsepower. That was a big thing. I mean, that was just like when they were trying to get all the Dash 9s on the road.
A lot of those cool engines were gone by 2002, though.
Yeah, like the Gray Ghost.
Yeah.
Remember the Dash 9s that they just were like, get it, let's go. We just need this.
I was speaking specifically to the F40, the FP45, F45s, all the car body stuff. They kind of hung in, and they're like, we don't really need this.
There was high hood Jeep 7s out on the road from BN, the old BN high hoods that were up in like South Dakota and stuff. And there's a few that got painted in H1.
I'm going to send you a picture. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what
exactly
I mean.
What I'm saying.
And they were still working the branch lines, and they were consolidating the idea of the railroad. You know, like, what are we doing? Like, we have 2 Transcon lines now, the fastest Transcon line in the country also.
Look at
via Santa Fe.
The Northern Transcon, which is your Great Northern, and then your Southern Transcon, which is Santa Fe, which is.
And then they just had a bunch of lines where they had to like figure out like, why do we need this anymore? Do we need this? Should we need this? Maybe we should keep it just in case, you know, somebody does something stupid on one of these lines and we have to shut this down and reroute trains. You know.
Well, it's funny when you look at like Santa Fe branch lines specifically. Everybody always has this like there's like a lore behind it. Like San Diego is technically a branch line.
Yeah.
Phoenix is a branch line. Denver is a branch line.
Are you talking about the P-Vine?
Yeah, but I'm saying like if you look at the main Transcon, Los Angeles to Chicago, there's little branch lines that come off of it.
Yeah.
But they're technically still pretty important.
Yeah,
right?
they're
like,
main lines.
You're thinking, hold on, this is Phoenix. And Phoenix still has like, a couple daily trains a day, but it's not like 100 trains a day.
And there's not even, do they even run stacks down that line?
They do.
Because the P-Vine has an intermodal yard. Because it is Phoenix.
So there's a Phoenix to Chicago Z train. And before I moved back to California, what they were doing was they'd put like a regular Willow Springs North Bay on the front, and then on the back they'd actually have the trailers and then locomotives on the back. What it'd do is pull into Berlin. They'd make the cut. It would go around like a balloon track, and it'd be its own train from there. But it would not be 2 separate trains from Chicago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's no real junction like switching area at the P-Vine. Like that junction is just like now you're on the P-Vine. You know how like San Diego obviously Fullerton is where's the break to San Diego? Is it Fullerton?
It's at Fullerton, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But before that there's like those 3 staging tracks, right? Just in case something goes wrong or they got to switch something out. Am I thinking of the right, or is that maybe I'm thinking Riverside by the 15 and the 91. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. You know that little yard up there though?
Yeah.
That's like it's like, why don't we have something like that for like at the P-Vine in case they need to switch out units and whatnot? I mean, you have Flagstaff, but that's not even a yard. That's like 3 tracks and a hand job.
Well, the history behind
handbrakes.
Yeah, the history behind the P-Vine is it's interesting because Santa was it 1960? They did the what they call the Crookton cutoff, which runs between Williams and Ash. Is it Ash Fork? No, it's a Seligman. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments for not knowing this. But anyways,
it's all good.
They took and they.
I didn't know. I couldn't remember trip pin to save my life the other day, and then Scott like hit me up, and then Mariscalco hit me up. He's like, trip pin. What the F, Timmy? Come on. And I'm like, dude, I've been drinking.
Well, so the section of track between where the Crookton cutoff takes off and Ash Fork was a helper district. It was heavy. It was slow, and Santa Fe was looking to speed things up, so they built this northern route around it, and so they bypassed all these towns, Williams and Ash Fork, and all these places. Well, Ash Fork south is the connection to Phoenix.
Yeah.
So when they bypassed that, they abandoned west of Ash Fork. So now the P-Vine starts at West Williams Junction, goes through Williams to Ash Fork, and then down.
That's where the Grand Canyon Railway is.
The Grand Canyon Railway.
There's like tracks up there where I'm like, who uses these tracks? That's the bypass. Right. Oh my God, we got to do it. I want to see some of that stuff. I think they have that actually. There's somebody that did a production thing of, let me see the remote because our TV just semi-shut off. And there's a trick to get it right back into motion. There we go. But we got to just watch the P-Vine. But today we're watching trains over the world-famous Keddie Wye, the Feather River. This is 2023, so pretty recent. Let's turn up some of that volume and listen to those squeaky brakes.
Oh, look, there's the fire damage from the campfire. I think this is Virgilia, if I'm guessing here. He didn't say where they were at.
That's cool. You can see the aqueduct piping in the background.
Yes.
Sending
Have you
water up and over there.
Have you driven through Feather River?
I have never driven through Feather River. I've never seen the Wye. That's a place that is on my bucket list of places to go. Like, of all the times I have toured to Northern California, never actually.
So what's cool about Feather River and WP is the line was built in like 1907. So when they surveyed the route, it never exceeds 1% anywhere on the whole railroad. So as you're going through Feather River, you're thinking, man, they must be climbing hard. It's like, no.
They're just cruising.
So what they do is they send the heaviest trains. The westbound trains always take Feather River because if they had to go over Donner, they'd have to add, 2, sometimes 3 sets of helpers to get them over. Here, they just, they make the right-hand turn at Winnemucca, and they take the long way. And I used to, when I was in railroad operations
And surprisingly, you save more gas that way because
Well-
you're not using as much horsepower to mobilize it.
Yes, but you add 4 hours to the run time. So if 2 trains leave Winnemucca at the exact same time and they never change speed, they just
This is
go.
one of those math questions.
No, yeah.
Train leaving Chicago doing
which-
96,
which
and a
I
train
failed.
leaving Chicago going the other way doing 88. Which one is going to get
Right,
to California first?
But think about this.
Trick question.
You're,
One's leaving Chicago going west. The one going west.
you're a young foamer in math class when 2 trains leave the location at the same time. Where do they meet? I'm thinking, what the hell am I answering these questions? Now when I work on the surf, I was like, oh, that makes sense. The train leaves San Diego and LA. Where are they going to meet? How do you build the padding and the timing so they're both rolling when they meet?
Exactly.
That's a real thing.
That's a
But
science.
stupid Evan over here didn't know that. Yeah.
Stupid Evan. I like those. What is it? Those blue tank cars that just went by.
This
There's
is
another one.
These are gas tank cars here.
Ooh.
This is like a Roper manifest.
Is that just like a? Obviously, is that a passing sighting or is that maintenance track?
No, that's a passing sighting. Yeah. So the thing about UP with Feather River
never can
is
tell with
run
UP.
They run westbounds mainly on. They don't really run eastbounds over. Now between
Why is that?
Well, because they run the eastbounds over Donner. This is a shorter run, and they don't run them as heavy. But between Keddie Junction and Binney
What's
Junction,
the ruling grade on Donner? 2 point something? 2.6?
I think it's like 2.3 at its steepest. Mainly 2.2.
It's
Well, there's a
amazing-
small section of 3% track on track 1 at
Is
Newcastle.
that the flyover?
No.
Where they like kind of?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Right outside a place called Newcastle, which the story of Donner Pass is famed in reroutes, right? They've redone the main line multiple times.
Yeah.
Specifically in 1910 when they added the second main track, which is what they call the tunnel track. Anywhere you see tunnels on Donner, that's main track 2, with the exception of a few places, but between Rockland and Colfax specifically. But the small little spot right there outside of Newcastle, you can. I remember running it with the Zephyr. It's just a straight little grade right here, but it's 3%. So you better make a run at it, and if you're coming downhill, you better set some air because it's gonna run away on you real quick.
Yeah. That's one of the things about, like, even in model railroading, the difference between a 1% grade and a 2% grade, you don't think is a lot, but 1% grade, you can slap 2 engines on the front with a good 15-car train, it'll easily go up. Then all of a sudden you add 5 cars and still those same 2 engines up a 2% grade, you'll start getting the old buck slide. Remember when he would overload it, he'd only put like those 440-2s on the front, but he'd run like a 45-car train that was just long enough to get through the short loop, or short enough to get through the short loop, and he'd start heading back up, and right at about tunnel number 1 as it was going, that tension.
The buck slide.
The buck slide, man. And you just hear those squeaky Katos that, I mean, obviously this is pre-DCC, so there's no sound. You just hear, they'd go from going to, you hear them grinding on the rail, and you're like, come on, Buck, just throw one more engine on there.
I wish some of the younger guys could go back in time and remember when you're running those garbage blue box Athearn engines and the grinding prime movers, and you're like, who needs proto sound?
Yeah, you don't need
proto
proto sound.
Grinding.
There was this guy named Jack that used to always run down. He had these Elephantier SD45s that had the old school. It was like the earliest version of Athearn motors that had the flywheels on them before everything was the brass flywheels. It was like those crappy, like chunk metal flywheels that like they got from who knows where out of a garbage dump.
I remember one of the last consist Jack used to run. He used to run 3 brass AC 4400s, the SP ones. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
I always wondered what happened to that train. And he would run them on that tank train that he donated to the club. The one that wasn't based on anything. It was just a bunch of 33,000-gallon Atlas cars he just put on there.
Good old Jack.
Good old Jack. You said
he used to be a
bomber.
Yeah, he was a
bomber.
B-24.
That's crazy.
B-24? No, he was a B-29 pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's had to, because he was talking about doing strafing runs. Like they would finish their bombing run, then they drop low and run. So after they did their run, because they were relegated to like small, groups of 5 that would come in high and then drop down low and drop their bombs on like dams, bunkers, things like that. And so they'd be catching like heavy frontline fire. But as soon as they pull away and drop low, they would just, map the earth and just take it, because those things had 650 caliber machine guns on the front of the nose that just face forward. So wherever you were looking, it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they would just pepper the ground with those things. Look at this little, what's that doing up there? What's that little mover?
That's a track mobile.
That's
interesting.
It's a very random spot for it to be sitting.
There you go.
Or is it, though?
Those were borrowed a Metrolink service, 5632.
I remember a couple years ago seeing like the early. What company makes those? There's a company that makes those now, and they have the micro motors in them with a full-on DCC
I used to own
chip, sound,
Broadway Limited. I used to own one.
And lights. Is it Broadway Limited?
Broadway Limited, yeah.
What happened to them? I love this rusting on the side of those.
Well, what happened to mine was I just got poor and I needed to sell it, but they're out there. You can find them. They're cool little engines, man. But because it's such a small motor, it's hard to get them to do the real prototype speed because it takes a lot of energy to get the thing going. So
there's a company that, I swear there's like a company that does those now. See, that's what I got to do to my center beam flat cars. I got to put all the tethering cables on them. Yeah. That's the next stupid project for that stuff. I say stupid. I think it's going to look rad. What is this?
This is the Barva.
This one's going
or
east.
The Bar Pass.
Is this going east?
This is going north. Well, railroad east, geographically north.
Okay. They call it out north and south?
Well, on UP this is east. Yes, this is east. They're going up. They're going towards Keddie Junction, and don't look like they're doing very well. And this is an empty train.
Or some idiot just decided to put 2 empties up against a bunch of full tank cars.
Yeah.
I highly doubt that, though, because the tank cars are what? Gas or ethanol coming out of the Midwest?
Well, they got red placards, so they're definitely hazardous materials, flammable.
So that you think they're full?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, they're ahead of 2 of the lightest cars that are empty. So
yeah. What about that stack train though, going up over to Tehachapi
that was cool.
And it had those empties that just popped off the rail.
And that was Garvin. Remember we interviewed him?
That was his train.
Who hit that was his BNSF, the one who hit it. Isn't that cool? We definitely need to have that guy back on the podcast here, bro. It's like,
call his ass up.
What's it like to be rolling along and be like, oh shit.
I guess it's going down.
But I'm telling you, man, as an engineer, you see something like that and you dump it and you're like, God, I hope we don't collide and like I derail.
Yeah, because especially up on the side of a mountain,
yes,
there ain't nothing catching you.
You're going down.
Like if you go to the left, if the mountain's to your left, you want to go to the left. I'd rather run into this shit and just tilt, and then just get the heck off this train engine.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, what was it that Mark McGowan.
Mark McGowan.
Hey, shout out to John Mariska. First of all, this is rad. We need to put a link to it. Does he have a company for this?
Yes.
All right. So what did you say it is?
This is called Javon's Engraving, and
so we'll have a link to that in the description.
Yeah. So he's doing the Railroads Rock stuff for us, but he also does any design you send to him. He can print it out on
Replocate.
Yes, he's done all sorts. He's done name tags for me, bag tags. He can do challenge coins. He does cups. Basically anything you can engrave on metal, Javon can do.
I'd like to do challenge coins.
That would be cool.
Railroads Rock coins.
Yeah.
That would be really rad.
Anyways, for our Railroads Rock roadies, Chris and John, let me know. I got your first round, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Look at these guys are stalling, man. What the heck?
They wouldn't be stopping. Well, no, maybe hold the main. Somebody going around them.
You can't excessively work the traction motors for that long at that low of speed.
So they're just stalled. So they got to call for helpers.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what's going on here. They didn't look like they were doing very well when they came by.
How do you? Look at that.
So this is definitely for Jilly. I've been at this crossing.
Who makes those crossing pads? What company does that?
There's a guy called Chicago Models who's been doing a lot of cool stuff. He just came out and announced that he's doing workable crossing gates which flash. I don't know if they go down and up, but they actually flash.
You could do that. That is an operable thing now with micro LEDs, HO scale. You can easily do the crossing gates that flash. I don't understand why they're one of these.
Now they're working fine. Same train. Never mind. Drama.
Evan's starting drama on the
I
video.
know.
No,
Yeah.
but there's so many things like on the railroad that I think a boutique company, like a 3D printing company, could not only do, but for instance, those K-rails on this model right here, the ones that you brought over.
Yes.
What company does those?
BLMA. And I don't know if they still do them now, or Atlas. Well, Atlas bought out BLMA. But I bought those for my brother for a hot project several years ago. And he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, dude, I got
What
a
are
guy.
you talking about?
I got a guy who's building dioramas, and he's doing a really good job. And then you put this together, I'm like, oh my God, this is something out of Orange County.
Yeah, man. That looks like right somewhere in Tustin.
Now imagine like taking this, like the theme you got going here, and putting it on a diorama that's this size.
Oh, yeah.
Insane.
That's the
Blows
next
my
movement.
mind.
Once we
Blows
get
my
this
mind.
out of here, because obviously I'm not going to store this here, and I think this is a good representation for the club to utilize. Like in October, I was already talking to Pete Steinmetz about he's getting us a hookup so we can have a booth at the Del Mar train show.
Ooh.
So
is
we're
that
gonna have a
happening
booth
this year?
Yes,
It
this
is
is the first
happening?
year it's back. It's happening,
Sweet.
and on top of that that's what I'm talking about. I want to do a live Railroads Rock podcast from there.
Ooh, that would be cool.
So we're going to do that. We're going to go, obviously, we're going to have a crew. I talked to Zach about that. Zach was hammered, so I don't even know if he remembers talking about that. But I'm like, put you on a GoPro, go around, interview people. We'll interview people. I want to have a crew for that, where we have a camera crew. We have the task cam. We actually do interviews, kind of like what we did at the club, but we don't have a bunch of freaking meat Pete's trying to do the camera work. We actually have hawkers.
Yes.
So, anyways, but yeah, I talked to Pete about that. We're going to do a booth. That's going to be there. Scotty, we'll see if this comes to fruition. Scotty wants to do hoodies because it's going to be fall time, so hoodies and beanies for the club, which I think would sell, and I think they're great. And I also want to...
Is it going to get approved?
I don't know, and I don't care, because I tell you what is going to get approved is hoodies and beanies for Railroads Rock Podcast.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. Hell
So
yeah.
we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And have those there. So even if they don't have that shit there, Railroads Rock is going to have hoodies, beanies, T-shirts. I'd like to have keychains, everything that I ordered for the club, except for mugs. We're not doing mugs. We're going to do like
Steel cups.
steel cups
Yes.
right there.
Yes. He was redoing the La Mesa Club logo for... He was going to send me a cup and let me know what he thought. So
No, this one is awesome.
And let me
I'd really like to mimic the sticker to the T, though. Like this one, I feel is more personalized.
yeah.
And then if we do the sticker to the exact, this is amazing. This is amazing
Well,
work.
so
Shit, that's
so
amazing.
Slight disclaimer: he's still learning how to use the machine, and he's working on it. So like, but he literally took the Railroads Rock, he ripped it off. I sent him a picture. He just kind of redesigned it, and then
Yeah.
put it on there. So
Dude,
if you could send him the
Actual-
play-by-
yeah, the actual
one,
high
he could
def.
give it 100%. He could get that on there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great representation. And if anything, to be honest, now looking at it as a creative, I like this more because it's his interpretation.
Right.
And there's nothing more than like, it's like when you see somebody do it. Like I know Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. They did a live version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. But there was this guy that I saw, and I do my own interpretation of Rihanna Stay. The All Alone There Was a Fever.
Yeah.
Even though it's Rihanna singing it, and then some dude with a high-pitched voice doing the duet, whatever. But like when I do it, that's my interpretation.
Yeah.
And it's still the same song.
Oh,
It still
of
does
course.
what it does. You hit those, ooh,
Yeah.
the reason I hold on. But anyways, interpretation is something that I will give more credit to the person that was like, well, I saw it, and then I did this, and then I did this. And it's like, and that's also, I was talking to Mariscalco about that, about his layout. You know, how he's doing Southern California. And he has these really cool moldings of the bridge handrails.
He just showed me that picture.
Yeah, and I hit him back. He was like, "What do you think?" And I was just like, "I think that what you do is it's artistic." Ooh, look at that little fake bonnet. I like that. For those of you who are following along with our virtual rail fan, we're just about to wrap this up and put a bow on it. But I will say you are watching Trains Over the World famous Keddie Wye. Let's talk about this because we haven't even gotten to
We're not
the
even
why
Keddie yet. Yeah.
So why don't we put a bow on this and
Yeah.
just say thanks for tuning in and watching Railroads Rock podcast. Something else you guys will notice coming up, I'm doing little bits, tips and tricks. Much like on Saturday, I had already started editing like just quick things like, hey, this is how you clean the wheels on your train engine. Or
Right.
this is how I do it.
Right.
I take out a tub filled with water, I fill it with dish soap, then I drop the whole
And all the oils disintegrate.
everything comes off.
And then you wonder why everything starts squeaking.
The chip has been distorted. You got to get a new DCC chip.
Oh, I got a funny story about that, but I can't tell on there.
Don't put. So what I do is I open the dishwasher.
Yes.
No, don't. I'm joking. But watch the video. I'm going to start dropping in these little like 2-minute bits where it's like, boom, here's how we do that. Because like the other night, when I was talking to Chris, he was like, yo, I was about to go to a clinic. I was like, why? Do you do something wrong in Cabo? He's like, no, dog. They were doing clinics at this freaking train club over in Nashville or wherever he's at. I was like, okay. Whew.
Chris, I knew you had it, didn't you?
Yeah. I know you're married, bro, but come on, man. It is Cabo.
Cabo. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But he just celebrated a year anniversary. Congratulations, dude. Shout out to you. Look at that helper set.
Wow,
push,
3
push,
of them.
push,
Jeez,
baby.
jeez.
And it's got that tier 4 on the back.
Oh, I thought you were going to hit Chris with some, advice.
So, no, I did.
One
I actually
tequila-
talked. So I chopped it up with him on the way home from my gig yesterday.
Yeah, did you tell him the 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor?
Oh,
That's real.
Jesus
My sister
Christ.
fell for that one at the island party. Tequila was.
You
not-
want me to? Hey, you want to
tequila
hear a
wasn't
good dad
friendly to
joke?
her.
You want to hear a dad
Okay,
joke?
I'm ready.
Okay, you ready? My wife came up to me and asked me, "What begins with F and ends with K?" And I looked at her and I paused for a second. I thought about it and I was like, "No, it doesn't." Don't you get it?
yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh,
"What begins with F?" And it's like, "No, it doesn't." And then the joke is it's the W. Never mind. Why am I explaining this?
Because I suck at this, man.
It's okay. Let me try one more.
Not a dad.
Hang on,
Okay,
hang
got
on.
it.
No. It's okay. You're not a dad yet, bro. So it's all good. My wife yelled from downstairs and she said, "Honey, have you seen the cat bowl?" And I stopped and I was confused and I was just like, "You taught the cat to bowl?" Those are my 2 dad jokes for the weeks. So we're gonna stop right there, and all the links below mentioned. What was the other thing that we were talking about? We were talking about the cups. What was the other thing I
We're
was
talking
going
about
to mention?
shirts and hoodies and beanies.
I don't care.
Oh.
I really don't care. What I do care about is that you guys tune in. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Railroads Rock Show. My name's Timmy D. You can follow me on Instagram at Railroads and Rock and Roll or
Engineer Evan on Instagram. Wait, no.
no.
Engineer Evan's on Michigan Subdivision on Instagram.
Michigan
Maybe
Subdivision.
I should just be Engineer Evan. It sounds cooler that way.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Maybe you just heard it here. I might be changing my name.
Anyways, one way or the other, just remember your most important signal you get.
It's going to be your next one. See you later.